Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ramon. First time you are stopping by, I'm Nigeria designer based in Lagos, Nigeria. And today we are drafting a Victoria corset pattern. I'm using my basic body pattern that I've already drafted down. So what I'm showing now is where my bust is, which is a shoulder to the bust point, which is 10 inches, my under bust 13.5, and my waist 17 inches. So distance between the waist to the hip, which mine is 8 inches. So I also come up by 1.5 for the chest line. So here I label my chest line, my bust line, my under bust line, my waistline, also the hip line. So from my shoulder line, then I'm going to divide it into two and mark a point there and connect it to my bust point. So after I'm done that, I'm going to mark 2 inches from my side front, which is different between my shoulder to waist for the back. So I'm going to mark 2 inches from the side there and connect it to the bust point. So I'm using 21 inches for the length of the corset. You can use all the lengths that we have here. Reason it is cut, it won't be comfortable when you wanted to sit down with it. So I'm using 21 inches from shoulder to the actual length. So I went ahead, I mark it. Let's tighten our under bust line. So what I have there is 9 inches, and then we are working with 20 inches. I made the circumferences. So if I divide my 20 inches into 4, I'm going to have 7 inches. So I'm going to mark my 7 inches minus the tiny dot that is there. So after I mark it, what I have there is, what remain now is 1.2 inches. So I'm going to mark half an inch center front and mark the remaining 0.7 at the side. So what I'm going to do now is to crochet it minus the tightening, everything that is there. So I'll make sure that my 7 inches is still intact. So what I'm going to do now is to use my curve flat to connect it to the bust point. So after I'm done that, at the chest line there, I'm going to come up by 1 inches. You can also use 1.5. It depends of how you wanted your necklines to be. And from my center from there, I'm going to mark 1 inches. I may come down by 1 inches. So let's tighten our chest line. What I'm going to do now is, at the center front, I'm going to mark half an inch, while this side front mark 0.7. If you are someone that's going to boost here, you can tighten your chest line by half an inch on both sides. So what I'm going to do now, use my cuff to connect it to the bust points on both sides. And also connect it to my neckline. I'm using a suit out neckline. And also from the armhole line, you can see I didn't come down by any measurement, just connect it straight to your armhole line. And from the underbust line there, I'm also going to connect it down to my new length. After I'm done that, I'm going to close my underarm dart. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that what I have at my chest line on both sides is equal. As see me doing so, to make sure that it is equal, you can measure it, or you fold your paper to make sure that the both line is touching each other. As you can see the way I folded it. So I'm going to use my shear now to cut it. To close my underarm dart, I have to slash through from my shoulder to my bust point. so that will be easy for me to fold it. So after I fold it finish, I'm going to use my tape to tape it down. After you tape it down, you realize that the side is not equal again, so I'm going to use my set square to connect it to make sure that the line that is there is equal. So guys, let's move to our waist snatches. There's no tutorial concept without waist snatches. So snatching my waist, I'm going to minus 4 inches for my actual measurements. Are you guys hearing me? 4 inches. So my actual measurement is 32 inches. If I minus 4 inches for the 32 inches, what I'm going to have is 28 inches. So with 28 inches, I'm going to divide it into 4, which is 7. So we are working with 7 inches for my waistline. So I went ahead, I placed my tape measurement at the waistline. As you can see, the way I move it, the dot that is there is not included. You can see the way I'm moving my tape measurements. So I went ahead, I marked my 7 inches, which is the measurement that we are working with. After I mark it, what remains now is 1 inches. So what remains now is to panel our corset, and then it now depends on what you want. It can be, your lines can be straight or it's slanted, and always get to take a note that you can only do this at the front, not at the back. Your back has to be straight. So to panel it at my neckline, I'm going to divide it into 2. So after I divide it into 2, at the down part here, I'm going to come in by 1 inches because I'm working with a slanted line. So I'm going to use my set square now to connect the lines together. And also at the side front, divide the neckline there by 2 inches, and at the down part come in by 1 inches and also connect the point together. And remember that we have extra 1 inches at the waistline there. I'm going to divide the 1 inches on both line, which is half an inch on both line, 0.25, 0.25 on the lines. As you can see me mark there in total, which is half an inch on both lines. So I'm using my set square now to connect it, the points to get to the bust line. So this is how our front is going to be. You can also slant it your side, so but I'm leaving my own like this. Guys, you can never go wrong with labeling. Make sure you label your pattern as much as you can recognize when you are sewing it. Label it very well. Design it is a paper. Design it and make sure you can recognize it when you are sewing your pattern. As you can see the way I'm doing my hole, I first of all arrow it facing each other and write my center front 1, center front 2, side front 1, side front 2. Now also number it 1, 2, 3, 4. Label it as much as you can recognize. So let's cut. So after cutting it finished, let's move to the back. So this is the back pattern I'm working with. I went ahead, I labeled my center back, my side back. So I went ahead, I picked one of my panel at the front and measure it from the waistline. I have 3.5 inches. So I also start measuring from the waistline at the back. So I'll mark my 3.5 inches from there. So for my neckline, I come down by 8 inches. So you can see 8 inches, and they connect it to the armhole line there. And I want you guys to take note that you can come up or down at the center back and make sure that your center back and your center front is equal, so that when you are joining it can be accurate. So I went ahead, I raised the line up there and tighten my back neckline by half an inch. So I mark 0.25 0.25 on both sides and blend it to the waistline. So let's move to our back waistline. I place my tape measurement, so you can see I place it and stop it at first dart leg and move it to the second dart leg and mark inches. What remain now is 1 inches. So I'm going to also panel my back pattern, divided the center back into two and connect the points together, or also at the side divided into two and also connect the points together. As you can see the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to divide the 1 inches on both sides, on both line, so which is half inches on one line and half inches on one line. So I have 0.25 0.25 0.25 and 0.25 on the both line. So after I'm doing that, this is how it's looking. So the fourth panel is going on, so I'm going to start my first CB at the second line. I'm labeling my CB1, SB1 and SB2. The first panel is going out, it's not included. So the second panel, that's where my back is going to start from. So let's cut. Guys, I can't stop emphasizing it. Label your pattern. Don't forget, please label it as much as you can recognize when you are sewing a pattern. So guys, this will be the end of today's tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give my video a thumbs up, support your sister guys, please support your sister. So see you guys in my next video. Bye.